and welcome back to my channel. I am the Grim Reader and I'm here with a chatty life/reading update. Probably more on the life stuff today. So the semester's over and I survived, but in a sort of sense, just barely. I mean, I'm fine. But I've had a health setback because a while back now, was it 2 weeks? I don't know exactly, not quite 2 weeks. I developed pretty horrendous, what they call radiculopathy, nerve aggravation, nerve pain all through the left leg from the back to the foot. It was terrible because it took a while for it to resolve. So for like about 2 days, I was in pretty bad deep pain with the only comfort a heating pad and lying on a bed or lying flat on my back. I had to cancel 2 days of classes. And what has happened since is I am better thanks to oral steroids, which are a story in and of themselves. If any of you have had experience with them, let me know. Oh my gosh, they help with the pain, but they also kind of put you in this other mind space. And for me, the worst part of them was coming off of them. One day I felt extremely dizzy, but they helped. And so enough about them. But the issue is it's something that it sort of leads to other issues. And my main issue, well, I'm still dealing with pain. Like even right now I'm in knee pain, but that's because of what the other issue is leg weakness, which has made me stumble a couple of times. Now these are not bad falls, but any fall is a fall. And what I'm noticing today is even though the tumble I took yesterday, I was laughing about it, but it's also it's a shock to the system when you stumble. I think the knee is a little sore from the stumble, and it's not worthy of going anywhere. It's just a mild swelling of the knee. But the issue with falling is it does lead to anxiety about walking in general and just your overall instability. The good news is starting Monday, I'm starting physical therapy for this issue, and I will, make it clear to the person that I need help with. I'm going to dedicate my summer to reading a lot of books, for sure, but also working on overall bodily health. And I fully am aware that I've been under-exercising because of not wanting to, not feeling like it, chronic fatigue or mild chronic fatigue. And so, but also I have to sort of be kind to myself in the sense that, and realize that the problem right now is I'm in such pain sometimes that the idea of even stretching is awkward, and I need him to help with this person or whoever it will be figure out a way to work through all of this. And there's a mental component to this, as I'm sure people understand who have these issues. And so I always go back to stress reduction and self-care, useful self-care, which doesn't mean internally beating myself up about the fact that I don't exercise enough. And also not kind of being too harsh on myself for not exercising. If I need to just rest, I need to just rest. And be aware that once things are a little bit better, I can, and I have to have the willpower to actually stay with stretching. And in a way, I can sort of see that I will do that because before all this back stuff happened, I was working quite well on my Achilles tendonitis issues with stretching almost every day. That's kind of, it's hard to do when you're really sore on the other side and your back's hurting. So it's sort of like on hold. But I have to understand that for me, for the rest of my life, I have to incorporate a sort of a very maintenance and not in terms of fitness, but in terms of maintenance fitness, stretching routine. That's going to be a part of my life from here on out. And also strengthening, because a lot of the issues I understand, even the foot stuff, has to do with the fact that other muscles are just not strong enough to, your whole structure of your body is kind of out of whack when it's all not in the shape it should be in. And that's just how it is. Yeah, pain. And it's interesting, I'm just obsessed with my pain. Which is a funny thing to me, but it is kind of interesting. It puts you in such an interesting mind space where you're forced to contend with living in a different way. Being in the pain tunnel as I was back when the back pain was so strange what is annoying about it is it becomes the forefront. It's all you can think about, and your whole life is a survival mode of dealing with it and managing it to the point where you can just do something else. And so, where I think drugs really do play an important part for me, even those drugs, they put you in a better mind space. Not the steroids. The steroids is something different, so that you can sort of have you could think in a better way about your issues. When you're in the sort of the sad phase of it all, you're kind of depressed. You don't sort of have the flexibility of mind to deal with the issues. So you don't deal with them. You're just kind of dealing with surviving. If any of this makes sense. Anyway, so I feel better now. I actually feel better mentally, but I mean, the knee is hurting. The good thing is I'm on break, and I can sort of slowly ease into a slowing down and taking care, and just kind of being there for myself in a way that wasn't possible this past semester. And it really is a lesson learned in the sense that another issue that you can probably tell is my voice. I have vocal cord issues that were quite severe during the teaching. I would have to stop, and it was awkward to kind of take lozenges and stuff. The way my overall, I don't know, constitution is, it is a little bit diminished. It's diminished for all kinds of reasons that may even have a psychological component, not psychosomatic, but trauma, from just the way I am. Also, that brings me to this idea that I've talked about before. I kind of at the beginning of the semester when I was buying crystals and stuff, the fact that I've kind of realized something that has always been there in my life, that I am what is called a highly sensitive person. I should get that book about highly sensitive people and empaths, all that stuff, because I really am one of those, and that kind of feeds into sensitivity regarding it's really hard to ask for help. Even my husband, who's the best, but he's sort of, I have to ask for help and he'll do it. But I think what frustrates him a little bit is my sort of flailing about things. And sort of the idea of expecting him to do things without me telling him to do things, which that's just not realistic. And when I'm fine, I understand all of that. It's when I'm like flailing that things get a little difficult for both of us. But we'll manage, and everything is fine. So yeah, and actually it's kind of interesting. So one thing connected to my reading, I've been obsessed. I've been listening to Clarissa, the long book by Richardson, which is actually the microphone sitting on it. It's sitting on my two main reads, which was not well thought out of me. And so it's just so engrossing. It's been so sad because of what's happening. And if you know the novel, you know. And I've been at that. I've been like slowly moving on into what has happened, and it's really kind of her plight and my pain issues. It's like mental anguish, but in a good way. It's been sustaining, even though it's been moving. It's been quite moving. So, and I think I don't know if I said this before, but my reading, because I'm so sensitive to everything, I think that's another reason why I'm a slow reader, is I can't just sort of, it takes me a long time to process and digest what I read because I interact so closely with it. So the idea of sort of plowing through a bunch of books, it just doesn't work with my brain as well. I like to sort of wrangle with what I read, which is sort of why I read more literary stuff. It's just who I am. And so yeah, Clarissa's been amazing. It's not, I might come in and do a more dedicated video to it at the end. I'll see if I'm sort of, if I have the wherewithal to turn it into a bit more of a lecture type thing. Not a lecture, but just more notes on Clarissa. My other books, so my reading in general has been sort of hard, because when you're in deep pain, it's hard to find the wherewithal to read in a dedicated way. I'm still working on the Knausgard. I'm noticing with the Knausgard that I enjoyed it a little bit more when I didn't have a lot of time to devote to it, and it was sort of okay to just read a few pages here and there. Now when I could actually sit down with it, it's sort of, I still like it a lot, but for some reason it's sort of becoming a tiny bit boring or something. Not exactly. It's just where I'm at. I think it's the transition from not having any time to having a bunch of time, and then kind of being contrary about not wanting to read what I am reading. And it's fine. I will continue with Morning Star, which in general I'm really enjoying. I haven't quite figured out the overall what's going on with it all. Yeah, but the Knausgard is good, and let me know if you've read it, and don't, no spoilers though. It's kind of, because I don't know the plot at all. It's vaguely dystopian. Like there's a big star, and there's a bunch of people and their lives, and I'm actually reading about someone who's kind of a jerk. He's like drinking beer and pushing his way in the restroom, but Knausgard just makes even jerks entertaining somewhat. Some might even consider him a bit of a jerk. Yeah, so the Knausgard's going fine. And then the other things that are sort of on my little shelf here. So I'm actually going to, not DNF, of course. I'm never going to DNF Borges, but it's more like a life thing, like Proust or whatever. I'm putting him aside for now because I just don't feel like reading him right now. He's great though, but he's Borges. And so he's sort of like, oh, let's be all meta and crazy and wacky and meta. And I'm not in the right space for that right now. So he's great, but I'm putting him on hold. He'll be around forever. And then I do think I want to come back to Pilgrimage. I think this will be more my style for now. This very self-reflective, but sort of easy to read. Also very British. Speaking of British, I did kind of watch the Coronation this morning, even though it sort of was the thing. Okay, here's my take on Charles and the whole stuff. You know, he's an extremely awkward man. And you have to sort of lean into just being comfortable with his awkwardness. And he'll just be, he is the king. He's Charles III. Long live the king. And he's going to be Charles. He's always been Charles. And I had this idea. He pushes us all into the role of his former wife, the one who I'm remotely related to, the Spencers, Diana. Like, because of his awkwardness. And it's as if now we're all like Diana with him. And the only one who kind of gets him or can sort of hold his awkwardness is Camilla. And so in a sense, we are thankful for her, Queen Camilla. I mean, it's a stupid take, but... And certain aspects of the coronation, I was weirdly anxious about the whole thing. And I'm not even that into it, although I'm interested in the pageantry of it all and being an Anglophile. And also because I have ancestral connection specifically to Charles II because my relative helped him escape. And so, you know, there's this historical interest, I guess. So I was sort of obsessed with the anointing stuff. I did like the anointing screen. And I loved when they played Zadok. I mean, Handel's great. Yeah, slay. But other aspects were just awkward. I mean, the whole thing. And the fact that they had to read everything in note cards all the time. I mean, come on. But you could sense how uncomfortable he was. He's just always like that. That's just Charles. He's never going to be like the Queen. He's never going to be as smooth and as media friendly as the young royals. God knows what the kids will be like. And so yeah. But I'm kind of glad it's over now and he's king and then we can just get on with our lives. So yeah, Anglophile. Also the fact that I'm going to London in December. I mean, it's far away, but I kept looking at the Abbey like, oh, I'm going to go there. I'm going to check it all out for myself. So that'll be fun. Anyway, so this is a very Anglophile book. They are kind of, it's like a turn of the century. She's on a bus riding through London. And it's not going to be, I think the second part's going to be a little bit different because the first part she was in Germany and they had the German sort of stuff. And now she's back in England. She's still a young lady trying to make her way in and she needs to make money. And she's going into a job that she's not looking forward to, a summer position. And it's good. It's good. More on this at another point. And there's the other things on here that I already told you about that I put aside, the Donna Leon, which I'm not going to read that now. And there's a book that I've been reading that's been on my book Goodreads for over a year now, the Margaret Young, the long novel. I'm obsessed with long novels. This is a 12-part autobiographical novel. Clarissa's very long. So yeah, I'll be lucky if I get, who knows how many books I'll read this year, and that's okay. I will definitely come back with some other things that I'm interested in reading, and there's some stationery stuff I want to talk to you guys about now that I have that camera. And as my health gets better and my mind is more relaxed, I'm sure I'll come up with other things I want to do videos on. I go back and forth on whether I want to do sort of more regular weekly things. I have a feeling I don't, even though I'm actually a very orderly person, but in terms of the videos, I think in terms of my feedback from people and how just I like to do things, doing it more just whenever seems to work better for my channel, which I hope everyone's okay with. I'm sure they are. Everyone is so nice when I do community posts about taking a stumble. The stumble yesterday was funny. I had just gotten out of the car with all my stuff, and I should have probably waited and have Bill carry some of the stuff. And I wasn't expecting it at all. And that's the whole thing. I was sort of distracted and looking at cats, and I just, before I knew it, I sort of had this slow motion on the floor, on the driveway. And then I kind of rebounded pretty quickly. I was a little shaky, and I just sat in my chair. And then during the night, this knee has become a little more irritated. All these pains, and Dr. Google is good and bad at the same time. But anyway, I think I'm rambling right now. I'm going to stitch all these little bits together. Hope everyone's doing well. Thank you all for watching. Comment away with questions, and I will talk to you pretty soon. Bye-bye.